News when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Nathan Hager.
And I'm Karen Moscow.
Well, Karen, we begin with the lukewarm market reaction we're seeing to another blowout from Nvidia. Sales at the world's most valuable company gained 85% to $81.6 billion in the latest quarter. And Nvidia forecasts sales in the coming quarter of about $91 billion. It also boosted its quarterly dividend and announced an $80 billion stock buyback. Nvidia CEO Jensen Huang says he expects demand to come from ordinary businesses outside the tech sector.
This was an extraordinary quarter. Demand has gone parabolic. The reason is simple. Agentic AI has arrived. AI can now do productive and valuable work. Tokens are now profitable, so model makers are in a race to produce more. In the AI era, compute capacity is revenue and profits. NVIDIA is the platform of this era.
NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang says he aims to rely less on giant data center operators and predicts other businesses and governments will become a bigger source of revenue for the company's chips and computing products. Paul Meeks covers NVIDIA for Freedom Capital Markets. He says he's not concerned with the numbers.
I'm not necessarily worried about what they printed or even this guidance, but this guidance is not disappointing. I think it's fine because you know what? It'll be $91 billion. And then they're going to upside it like they always do. So this will be much better at the end of the day than the whisper.
Paul Meeks at Freedom Capital Markets. Right now, NVIDIA is trading down about 0.2% pre-market.
Well, Nathan, there's also a couple of high-profile IPOs on the way for investors. And Bloomberg's John Tucker joins us with the very latest. John, good morning.
And good morning, Karen. Elon Musk's SpaceX filed publicly for what stands to be the largest ever initial public offering. The filing with the SEC also reveals the company has billions of dollars in losses. And the way it's set up right now, it would give Musk the power to outvote anybody else and give him as many as 1 billion shares. Now, according to the filing, Musk would have to hit certain goals for the rocket, satellite, and AI company. These goals include a human settlement on Mars with at least 1 million inhabitants. And, oh, yeah, SpaceX would first have to build data centers in space.
All right, John. Well, if that's not enough to absorb this morning, there's another Wall Street debut that appears to be on track as well.
Yeah, Karen, this one is OpenAI, the maker of ChatGPT. Our sources say the company aims to file for an initial public offering in the coming days or weeks as it tries to make the transition to a for-profit company. Now, the plans are falling in place after a judge dismissed Elon Musk's legal battle against OpenAI. The decision to push ahead with a listing this year could help it beat its rival, Anthropic, to the public markets and compete for investors. In New York, I'm John Tucker, Bloomberg Radio.
All right, John, thanks. So Anthropic is mulling an IPO as soon as October. Ahead of that, the company's on pace for its first profitable quarter after experiencing a surge in revenue driven by a demand for its artificial intelligence software. Bloomberg News has learned the cloud maker expects to post $10.9 billion in revenue for the second quarter, more than double the prior 3-month period.
Nathan, let's get to the latest now in the war in the Middle East. The U.S. and Iran are trading threats once again as the standoff over the Strait of Hormuz drags on. President Trump says he's in the final stages with Iran while warning he could resume attacks in the coming days if it doesn't agree to his terms.
The only question is, do we go and finish it up, or are they going to be signing a document? Let's see what happens.
And that was President Trump delivering the commencement address at the U.S. Coast Guard Academy. We get more from Bloomberg's Paul Wallace in Dubai.
This could be just more posturing from Donald Trump. He has given plenty of signals that he is desperate to sort of extricate himself and the U.S. forces from this war, and all signs point to him really trying to avoid a return to hostilities given the surge in energy prices globally.
And Bloomberg's Paul Wallace reports Iran has threatened to retaliate beyond the Middle East if the U.S. or Israel resumes strikes. Now, this morning, Iran's semi-official Students News Agency is reporting Tehran is reviewing the latest U.S. peace proposal and says it's narrowed the gaps to some extent. The report says further narrowing, quote, requires an end to the temptation of war on Washington's part.
Karen, the U.S. is facing protests in Greenland's capital as a new consulate opening fuels concerns over Washington's designs for the island. The U.S. will inaugurate the new consulate building in Nuuk today, its first in Greenland since the 1950s. It marks a more permanent American presence on the Arctic island, where unease has grown since President Trump revived talk of acquiring the territory.
Nathan, the Trump administration is putting new pressure on Cuba as the economic standoff over the island continues. The U.S. has charged former Cuban President Raul Castro with murder over the 1996 drowning of 2 aircraft run by a Florida-based Cuban exile group. 4 people were killed in the incident when the 94-year-old former president was Cuba's defense minister. Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche announced the indictment.
For the first time in nearly 70 years, senior leadership of the Cuban regime has been charged in this country, in the United States of America, for acts of violence resulting in the deaths of American citizens.
The announcement by Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche could raise speculation about military action against Cuba, like the raid that captured Nicolas Maduro in Venezuela earlier this year. President Trump is indicating there won't be further escalation for now. That's news when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Karen Moscow.
I'm Nathan Hager, and this is Bloomberg.